Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Happy New Year. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. Today, I want to talk about something that's on a lot of people's minds right now. How to start the year off, right when it comes to your health. January is this interesting time where everyone's suddenly motivated to transform their entire life. Gym memberships skyrocket, diet programs are selling like crazy, and social media is flooded with ambitious 30-day challenges. And look, I love the enthusiasm. I really do. But as a doctor, I've seen this pattern play out year after year, and I want to share what actually works versus what sets people up for failure by February. The biggest mistake I see people make every single January is trying to change everything at once. They want to start going to the gym 5 days a week, cut out all sugar, meal prep every meal, get 8 hours of sleep, drink more water, meditate daily, and maybe throw in a new hobby for good measure. And here's what happens. They're exhausted and overwhelmed within 2 weeks, something derails them, and they give up completely, feeling like they've failed. But here's the thing, you haven't failed. The approach failed. We've been sold this idea that transformation requires this massive, dramatic overhaul of your entire life. That you need to suffer and deprive yourself and completely reinvent who you are. And that's just not how sustainable change works. So let's talk about what actually does work. First, forget about perfection. The healthiest way to start your year isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent with small, manageable changes. I always tell my patients, I'd rather you do something small consistently than something big sporadically. A 15-minute walk every day is infinitely better than planning to run 5 miles 3 times a week and never actually doing it because it feels too overwhelming. Here's my recommendation. Pick 1, maybe 2 areas to focus on first. Not 10, 1 or 2. And within that area, choose the smallest possible action that you know you can do consistently. This is what researchers call habit stacking, or making changes so small they're almost impossible to fail at. Let's talk about what areas actually make the biggest impact on your health. If I had to prioritize, I'd say sleep, movement, nutrition, stress management, and social connection. These are the pillars of health. But again, you don't need to tackle all of them at once. Sleep is probably the most underrated aspect of health. If you're not sleeping well, everything else becomes harder. Your hunger hormones get disrupted, making you crave unhealthy foods. Your energy drops, making exercise feel impossible. Your mood suffers, your immune system weakens, your decision-making gets worse. Poor sleep is linked to higher risks of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and even dementia. So if there's one thing to prioritize, it might be sleep. What does this look like practically? Don't tell yourself you're going to suddenly start going to bed at 9 p.m. every night if you're currently staying up until midnight. Instead, maybe you commit to putting your phone away 30 minutes before bed. Or you set a reminder to start your bedtime routine. Or you make your bedroom slightly cooler and darker. Small changes that support better sleep without requiring a complete lifestyle overhaul. Movement is another big one. Notice I didn't say exercise, I said movement. You don't need to join a gym or start some intense workout program unless you want to. What your body needs is regular movement throughout the day. Our bodies weren't designed to sit for 8 to 10 hours a day, which is what most of us do. The research is pretty clear that prolonged sitting is harmful, even if you exercise regularly. So if you're currently sedentary, the goal isn't to suddenly become a marathon runner, it's to move more than you did last year. Maybe that's taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk after lunch. Maybe it's standing up and stretching every hour. These sound simple, almost too simple to matter, but they add up significantly over time. And if you do want to start a more structured exercise routine, start smaller than you think you need to. If your instinct is to work out 5 days a week, start with 2. Make it so easy that you'd feel silly not doing it. Once that becomes automatic, then you can build on it. Nutrition is where people tend to go really extreme in January. They want to cut out entire food groups, start restrictive diets, or follow complicated meal plans. And while dramatic changes can produce quick results, they're rarely sustainable. Most people can't maintain a highly restrictive diet long term, and when they inevitably go back to their old habits, the weight comes back. Here's what I recommend instead. Don't focus on what you need to eliminate. Focus on what you can add. Can you add one more serving of vegetables to your day? Can you add a piece of fruit? Can you drink one more glass of water? When you focus on adding nutritious foods rather than restricting everything you enjoy, it feels less like deprivation and more like taking care of yourself. Another practical tip: don't keep foods in your house that you don't want to eat regularly. It's not about willpower, it's about environment. If there are cookies in your pantry, you're going to eat cookies. That's not a character flaw, that's being human. Make the healthy choice the easy choice by setting up your environment to support your goals. Stress management is something most people don't think about when they think about starting the year healthy, but it's crucial. Chronic stress affects your immune system, your cardiovascular health, your digestion, your sleep, everything. And January can actually be a stressful time with people returning to work, dealing with holiday bills, and putting pressure on themselves with resolutions. You don't need to become a meditation guru or start a complex mindfulness practice. Sometimes stress management is as simple as taking 5 deep breaths when you feel overwhelmed, or stepping outside for 2 minutes, or calling a friend, or saying no to something you don't have capacity for. Small moments of stress relief throughout your day matter. Social connection is the one that gets forgotten most often, but it's incredibly important for health. Loneliness and social isolation are linked to increased risk of heart disease, depression, cognitive decline, and even early death. The research on this is really striking. Having strong social connections is as important for your health as not smoking. So as you think about your health goals for the year, consider how you can strengthen your relationships. Maybe that's reaching out to one friend per week. Maybe it's joining a group or class where you'll meet people with similar interests. Maybe it's having dinner with your family without phones at the table. Connection doesn't have to be complicated. Now let's talk about what to do when you inevitably have setbacks, because you will. You'll miss workouts. You'll eat foods that weren't part of your plan. You'll stay up too late. This is normal. This is part of being human. The difference between people who succeed long-term and people who don't isn't that successful people never mess up. It's that they don't let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. If you miss a day, just get back on track the next day. Don't wait until Monday. Don't decide you've ruined everything and give up. One meal or one day doesn't define your health. It's what you do consistently over time that matters. Be kind to yourself. Talk to yourself the way you'd talk to a good friend who's trying their best. Here's something else that's really important. Focus on how you feel, not just how you look. Yes, physical changes might be part of your goals, and that's fine. But if you're only measuring success by the number on the scale or how you look in the mirror, you're missing so much. Pay attention to how you feel. Do you have more energy? Are you sleeping better? Is your mood more stable? Are you feeling stronger? These are all signs that what you're doing is working, even if the physical changes are slower than you'd like. And speaking of scales, you don't need to weigh yourself every day. For some people, daily weigh-ins create unnecessary stress and anxiety. Your weight fluctuates naturally throughout the day and week based on hydration, what you've eaten, hormones, and many other factors. If you do want to track your weight, once a week at the same time of day is plenty. One more thing I want to address. You don't need to buy expensive supplements, detox programs, or special products to be healthy. The supplement industry explodes in January with promises of quick fixes and miracle solutions. Save your money. There's no supplement that can compensate for poor sleep, lack of movement, or a diet that's mostly processed foods. Focus on the basics first. They're free and they work. If you do want to take supplements, the only ones that most people might benefit from are vitamin D, especially in winter, and maybe omega-3s if you don't eat fish regularly. but even these should be discussed with your doctor first. Everything else is probably unnecessary unless you have a specific deficiency. So to summarize, the healthiest way to start your year is not with some dramatic, all-or-nothing transformation. It's by choosing 1 or 2 small changes that you can sustain. It's by focusing on consistency over intensity. It's by being kind to yourself when things don't go perfectly. It's by building habits that actually fit into your life, rather than trying to force yourself into some idealized version of what healthy looks like. Remember, health isn't a destination you reach, and then you're done. It's a practice. It's something you work on continuously throughout your life. The goal isn't to be perfect in January. The goal is to be a little bit healthier in December than you were in January. That's success. Small, sustainable changes compound over time into significant results. So as you think about your health this year, ask yourself, what's one small thing I can start doing today that I can still see myself doing in 6 months? Start there. Build from there. And trust that those small steps will add up to something meaningful. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and invest in your health knowledge. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel reach more people who might benefit from this content. Take care of yourself, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.